All right, y'all, thank you for watching. I'm going to be doing an astral projection school. So I'm going to do classes going from beginner to intermediate to advanced information about astral projection, okay? So we're just going to start off with this simple little video about the basics, the very basic beginner knowledge about astral projection, okay? All right, so this is a person laying in their bed, all right? They're trying to astral project, okay? The meditations that a person does, how I got my first astral projection is I would imagine, first of all, you have to lay still for a long time and you're going to get itches. You might get an itch in your foot. You have to try to ignore it. You might get an itch in your hand, arm right here. You have to try to ignore it. Okay, sometimes you can't ignore it. Sometimes you have to itch the itch. But then, so if you could just keep your body not moving for a while and you can relax, you're going to get to a deeper state of relaxation. You're not necessarily going to fall asleep or astral project, but you're just going to get your body very relaxed. You really want to relax around this area right here. You have this psoas muscle that attaches to the top inner part of your femur right here, and it attaches from your spine all the way up to T12 on the vertebrae, all the way up to T12. The psoas muscle is closely connected to fight or flight and anxiety in the mind. Okay, it's right next to your adrenals. All right, this is the main muscle that you want to relax right there in your core area right here. Okay, so you get relaxed in the bed. Then what you want to do is you want to imagine your body moving up towards the ceiling. Okay, you just want to imagine it floating towards the ceiling. Now, you ain't necessarily gonna feel the sensation of floating towards your ceiling, but you just want to keep imagining it. Okay, just keep imagining it, and I'll explain why this eventually works. Okay, so you keep imagining it. Another technique you could do is you can imagine, if this is the ceiling, you can imagine that there is a rope going up to the ceiling and you are grabbing it with your hands, pulling yourself up to the ceiling. Okay, that is another technique that you could practice. All right, now you ain't necessarily gonna feel your body going up to the ceiling, but just focus on imagining it. Okay, you can imagine it for like 30 seconds to 60 seconds, and then you could take a break. Okay, and then what's happening when you're doing this over time is you ain't necessarily gonna rip out of your body when you do this. Okay, I did this for 6 months and I never got my first astral projection. What ends up happening is when you're doing this type of meditation exercise for probably 30 minutes to an hour a night, what happens is you're training your brain to consciously be aware and focus in the present moment during this sort of scenario of laying in your bed and the sensation of your body going towards the ceiling. You're kind of focusing in the present moment and focusing on this type of sensation. Now, what ends up happening over time is, now I'm talking, I was 14 and it took me 6 months to get my first one, okay? And it didn't happen like this. The first one happened where I was doing this meditation and I ended up falling asleep. And then very shortly after I fell asleep, I became aware and I was actually sitting in my living room on the floor, crisscross applesauce, watching the TV, okay, in my living room. And then I went, what the hell? I looked to the left. I saw the left side of my living room. I remember looking up at the ceiling fan. And then I went, what the hell? And in 3 seconds, I woke up. And I went, oh my God, I just did my first astral projection. Okay, it was extremely realistic. It was daytime outside. And when I was doing it at night, it was nighttime. Okay, so how did this happen? How did I get my first one? Well, what I believe happens is when you do this meditation, you're training your brain to become consciously aware and focus in the present moment when you have this raising out of your body sensation. Now, when you begin to enter REM sleep, you are unconscious when this is happening. Okay, so when you're entering REM sleep, your brain is already doing this, having this thing of you raising out of your body and having this sensation of motion. whether you are raising out of your body and starting the dream from your room, or whether you're starting the dream from a completely different location, like this scenario right here. I did not rip out of my body and go over to my living room. It started in my living room. All right. So the brain, I'll say it again for those of y'all who are having a hard time understanding what I'm saying. You are training your brain to become consciously aware when this sensation is occurring. Okay, so when it occurs, you become aware. So when you're entering REM sleep, this sensation always occurs. It's not necessarily you raising out of your body sensation, but it is a sensation of movement that is particular to you not moving your actual body, but your dream body moving. It's a particular sensation, okay? It feels very similar to actually moving, but it's slightly different. All right, so that is basically how I got my first astral projection. I did this for 6 months when I was 14 years old. So if you're 35, it might take you 1 year, maybe a year and a half to get your first astral projection. Okay, it might take you 2 years. All right, because neuroplasticity is high at this age. But I can tell you right now, I was a person that never had a lucid dream and I never astral projected before I did this for 6 months. Then I got my first one. Okay, so that's just step one. That's how I did it.